and I'm a member of the Governing Council of the ASE-IAStructE. It's my pleasure to welcome all the participants who have joined this session for orientation, and also welcome all my esteemed colleagues, the main speaker and the panelists of the Governing Council. Am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Yes, audible.
Okay. I will take the liberty of introducing, first of all, our speaker and the panelists. Our main speaker today is Mr. Umesh Raj Shirke, Managing Director of Spectrum Techno Consultants Private Limited, and he is a member of the Governing Council of the ASE-IAStructE. Amongst our panelists today, Dr. R. Pradeep Kumar is currently President of ASE-IAStructE, and he is Director of the Central Building Research Institute, Roorkee, an eminent structural engineer. Mr. Manoj Mittal is the immediate past President of ASE-IAStructE, and again, an accomplished civil and structural engineering consultant. Then we have Mr. Alok Bhaumik, who is a past President of the ASE-IAStructE. He is Managing Director of Bridge and Structures Engineering Consultants Private Limited. And Mr. Abhijit Kulkarni, Project Principal and Country Director, Structures, Bureau Happold. He is a fellow of the ASE-IAStructE UK and ASE-IAStructE. All of us here present today, either as speaker or as panelists, have been very closely involved with the formulation of the scheme about which we are going to talk a little later. But before I begin, I would like to take advantage of the presence of the President of ASE-IAStructE, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, who has joined recently as President. And I would like to request him to say briefly a few words about his thoughts about the scheme and so on and so forth. Dr. Pradeep.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Prem Krishna, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and all the panelists, and members who are participating and attending this session. So, first of all, a very good evening and good afternoon. So, ASE-IAStructE, that is Indian Association of Structural Engineers, is a national apex body of structural engineers. So this was conceptualized around two decades back. The main objective of this professional body is to cater to the overall professional needs and development of structural engineers. So this professional body came up with good innovative programs which helped people from time to time. So early this year, that is in January, ASE-IAStructE has launched this scheme, that is accredited structural engineer. So to tell about this, to penetrate into the society of structural engineers, ASE-IAStructE has envisaged and conducted first session, that is the session on key attributes and their implementation in May. And now this is the second session, that is IPD, like how to fill out this 12 key attributes in the form. So why this accreditation is necessary is to benchmark the structural engineer from the rest of the people. So those who practice their profession in a very good manner, so they'll say apart that their technical excellence is like has reached some benchmark kind of thing, and accordingly they will execute and take up such kind of projects. So this ASE-IAStructE is venturing into recognizing such kind of structural engineers and also helping out to reach that benchmark. So I am hoping that this session with Umeshji as a speaker and our panelists will clarify all the questions, doubts regarding this entire process as to why this is needed, how we can reach, and this overall, this is required for improving our professional practice for the betterment of the country and safety of people. So with these few words, I'll hand it over to Professor Prem Krishna ji back.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeep Kumar. Thank you for sharing your thoughts about the scheme. Vikas, can I request you to share the slides?
I'm sharing it, Professor.
Oh, yes, sure. All right. Well, as has been mentioned, today we are at the second of the orientation sessions regarding this scheme. The first one was on May 4 this year, when the key attributes and their implications were discussed. And as you will agree, key attributes are the foundation of this whole program. A recording of this session was sent to you along with the announcement, and I hope that you had a chance to look at that recording. Of course, briefly, there will be some recapitulation also of what we told in that session. Today is the second session as mentioned, and this is to talk about the IPD form. And this IPD form is Initial Professional Development Form, which is based or related directly to the attributes that we talk about. The idea today is therefore to explain how the IPD form has to be filled and how it has to be tackled. Once the IPD form has been filled and examined or assessed, then there are two very important sessions that follow. The two important sessions relate to the process of interview, and if one goes to the interview, the examination. So therefore, the whole orientation program, as you can see, is divided into these four sessions: the key attributes, the IPD form, interview, what to expect in the interview, examination, what to expect in an examination that we are envisaging. So, next, please. Just to recap, the key attributes are arranged in three sections: engineering, identification and solution of engineering problems, and the safe, economic, and sustainable implementation of the solutions; management and commercial aspects; efficient procurement and management of resources within economic, environmental, and regulatory constraints to achieve the engineering objectives; and then certain aspects about the personal aspects: effective communication, interpersonal skills, professional commitment. So those are the three divisions into which the attributes have been arranged. Next, please. As is also pointed out on this slide, there are four levels of competence expected. For each attribute, the same, the highest level is not expected. The highest level is 4, the minimum level is 1. So for each attribute, the highest level is not expected. In fact, as you go along and see the various attributes, it is explained as to how, where you are expected to have competence level 1, where competence level 2, competence level 3, competence level 4. And these are described here. Level 1 is general appreciation of the subject, as well as understanding of how this may affect or integrate with other associated subjects. Level 2 is knowledge and understanding of the subject and its application. Level 3 is experience of practicing the subject independently or under supervision. And level 4, which is the highest level of competency, ability to apply the subject without supervision and competence to advise others. So those are the four levels into which the various attributes have been placed. Next, please. Here it shows the various attributes and what level is expected for a particular attribute. Competence level 1 is, for example, blue color, 6.2, appreciation of legal aspects of the project, appreciation of commercial issues, and so on and so forth. At this point, I will request our main speaker of today, Mr. Ramesh Rashirke, to kindly take over and in continuation with the slide, maybe go to the slides explaining the IPD form and its implications. So, Mr. Rashirke, please.
Thank you, Professor. So, good evening, everybody. I hope that you remember whatever Abhijit has explained in last webinar, explaining various key attributes. And now how many? So most of the presentees today must have attended that earlier session, and if not, they would have gone through this video recorded on YouTube. So I will not spend much time again in explaining all these key attributes. I will just touch upon various attributes, and then I will explain how these forms can be filled upon. See, basically the idea of this entire program is to identify the professional structural engineers who can deliver the projects independently. Now, to what should be the criteria? How you can say that this particular structural engineer has achieved whatever the attributes or characteristics required to practice this profession in the industry. So, after a lot of discussion, these are the attributes we say listed, and what we thought, what we felt that all these attributes that structural engineers should possess at a different level of say expertise. But now, how to assure or find out whether that engineer is fulfilling that requirement or not? So what we're asking is to provide that particular evidence how that they are able to qualify that particular point, and filling up IPD forms and preparing the portfolio to demonstrate that you are fulfilling these objectives. That is basically the idea or purpose of doing this activity. And once you successfully demonstrate that yes, you are qualifying most of the all these activities, all these attributes, then that will be while processing this portfolio and during the detailed interview. Once the panel or committee gets satisfied whatever you have submitted to the committee or ASE-IAStructE, then you are allowed to appear for the exam. So the main purpose is to find out how you are qualified or how you are fulfilling these key attributes. And that is the basic purpose of a submission of this initial professional development portfolio or form. So that portfolio will have those forms in the beginning, and whatever you are basically declaring or claiming that you have done so and so, and for this particular attribute you have a knowledge or appreciation or actual experience or expertise, that you have to give the evidence in the actual work you have done. For example, if it is an analysis and design, you may have to submit a typical report of an actual project on which you have worked, which shows what kind of analysis you have done and how you have proceeded to the design. So that evidence you have to demonstrate, you have to give in this particular portfolio. Okay, so let me just brush through these various attributes. So candidate having adequate experience who are applying for this professional review must demonstrate that they have satisfied all the 12 key attributes by completing and submitting the IPD forms to the association. The documents shall be substantiated with documentary evidence supporting the candidate's involvement associated to each of these key attributes. Such collection of the evidences can be retrospectively collated on the works and project the candidate has worked in the past. See, you might have completed some, say, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years in this particular field of structural engineering. So while preparing this portfolio or while filling this form, you have to recollect how you can demonstrate. So in that process, you can retrospectively get those documents. You may be having in your say library or maybe in your the documents. So that you have to fish out and submit in this portfolio. And for the young engineers who are aspiring to apply after some time, maybe after a few years later, they can, while during their career, they can just see which is the activity or work they are carrying out right now will be useful later on in preparing this IPD. So that they can make a one file and keep on filing those papers in that particular file or folder, so that after a sufficient years of experience, that portfolio will be readily available. So you don't have to spend much time in preparing that portfolio, right? So either it could be while actual working on the project, or if somebody has got a sufficient work experience and feel that yes, now in that particular period of work, they have acquired those attributes, they can fish out those documents and complete this portfolio. Though the fulfillment of all the key attributes are essential, while evaluating the IPD submitted by candidate, more weightage will be given to the first 4 key attributes, which are basically the highlighted in this say yellow color. That is the finding the solutions and the concept creation, analysis and design, understanding of the material, including factors affecting the durability, and communication. So these are the attributes which will have a more weightage, and the experience in a construction to some extent. Then the initial professional development, that's IPD for the candidates, identifying to qualify as an accredited structural engineer of the Indian Association of Structural Engineers ASE-IAStructE will be required to demonstrate the minimum level of competence in each of the attributes within their chosen career path. So let's go through these attributes: finding the solutions and concept creation. That we need a highest competence level, which is a 4. I believe that you remember these things, so I will not spend again time on each attribute. Just I will brush through the objective. What we required is the ability to produce viable structural solution within the scope of the design brief, taking account of a structural safety, stability, economy, aesthetics, durability, and sustainability. Right? So given a scope of the design brief from the client, you have to evaluate the solution which have these characteristics. And when you submit the IPD, you have to demonstrate that particular, whatever you are claiming, it is satisfying all these objectives. Right. Same thing is for analysis and design. The ability to carry out analysis, design of a structural forms, and familiarity with the relevant national and or international design standard. Okay, so that analysis, basically using the various suitable methods of the analysis, including both the traditional methods, hand calculations, computer analysis, using a proprietary softwares or in-house softwares. After verifying the efficacy of this software, that is the validation of those programs, the candidate should also understand the limitation of the various techniques. Say, for example, if you are following a FEM, but you must know what are the limitations of that particular type of element you are using, whether it is a plane stress, plane strain, 3D solid, plate, shell, if it does have some non-linearity like material, geometry, and what is the basically the limitation while developing or formulating those typical elements. So that particular knowledge you should have, and again, you have to demonstrate in that particular portfolio how you are claiming that you have acquired this particular expertise or ability, right? And then you should obviously know the basic our traditional methods like a moment curvature, Carney's methods, and so on and so forth. For various type of elements, theoretical knowledge, performance of the structures, including plasticity, dynamics, besides the ability to appraise the design of a structure for overall stability, resistance of a to the progressive collapse and fire. Again, you have to demonstrate. You have to produce the documentary evidence. See, the idea here is, if at present, if you may not able or you have not done that particular activity or may not have acquired that particular expertise, by virtue of this program of accredited structural engineer, at least you will come to know what are the targets in your career path you have to achieve. So you may not be able to demonstrate right now because you may not have got that particular opportunity in your career. But in future, hence onward, you can target those particular attributes, so that after a few, maybe after a certain time, you will able to demonstrate or able to prove that yes, I have done this particular thing. So the idea is not just don't think in a short term or that immediate goal. This particular program will help you in chalk out your own career path. To become an accredited structural engineer of ASE-IAStructE, I have to basically strengthen my abilities hence onward in this particular areas. In some areas, yes, as on today, you may be very strong, you may be very comfortable while performing those activities. But in some areas, you may not have even exposure. So you should strive to get that exposure in wherever you are working, in a firm or you are working alone on your own. You should strive to get that particular experience to become a all-rounder structural engineer, right? So when you prepare this IPD, you will come to know these are the areas where I am falling short, right? Again, the analysis and design, all these points are there in that our booklet. It is there on our website, so you can go in detail and just see. You can again hear the Abhijit's last time's presentation to get more clarity on these points. See, first was this is the finding a solution and conceptual creation. Then second was the analysis and design. Then there is the understanding of a material, including the factors affecting the durability. So there you have to demonstrate that you know how these materials respond to various loads in various structural form, whether it is a RCC, pre-stressed concrete, or steel structure, or timber, or aluminum, or whatever materials you are using in your project. So you should know their properties, then how they behave in the long term, like a creep, shrinkage, how they respond to the environmental actions like chlorides. If it is a concrete, then carbonation, and so on. And how it behaves in a non-linear range. Okay, so whenever you are using the limit state approach in your design, what is the basically the response of this material at that particular level? So all that, the understanding or the feel of the material you should have. And most importantly, again, you have to demonstrate. You have to submit those documents so that the reviewer is convinced that yes, you have gone through these aspects and your concepts are very clear. Okay, so these are again some description. Then the experience in a construction, that is the competence level 3. Here we would expect you to have exposure or experience to the construction processes, related aspects, to understand the complete cycle of realization of the project from concept design to the finished product. So how that particular structure is getting constructed, all of you will agree that it is a important knowledge required for a design at a design office. Otherwise, you will not able to give the good design. So these are the what various expectations or requirements are described under this. So you should know about even the demolition of a site clearance of existing structures, old structures, if they are there, survey, setting out, material testing, the labs, what type of equipment you should have in that particular lab at a site, how they work, what is their list count, how to interpret the results, what is good, what is bad, what is the criteria or qualification criteria for those tests, even what are the factors affecting in the, say, concrete mix design, and what are the parameters at requirement at a site, like the slump, and so many things. Defects and their investigations at a site, say like honeycombing or non-setting of a concrete, what could be the possible reasons. The temporary works, what kind of a type of temporary works, what is the most the economical, faster, and basically the comfortable for the contractor to construct. The substructure, that is the foundation and pier, or they say the column construction, superstructure, whether it is a high-rise building or a stadium or a bridge or a port, how those various projects are getting constructed, what is the programming, construction programming, sequencing, collaboration with the other disciplines like HVAC and MEP, site construction, plant equipment, what is their basically the efficiency or how efficient they are from the consumption of a power, energy, and so on. Again, the most important is the health and safety. We have given another attribute for this particular point. Then the stability issues during the various stages of a construction, like a trenching and a deep excavation, maybe the stability of the cranes, equipment, and so on. So again, you may produce few photographs. If you are working, if you go for a site visit, take few photographs, how and what things you have learned, what things you have seen during your site visits, and how you can claim that you know all these points. Then the knowledge of the new developments. Being a structural engineer, you should be at the forefront of this technology. So whatever the new developments are happening, not in only India, but internationally, you should be aware of it. These are the few examples we have given. That is a building information model, structural health modeling system, new age materials like ultra performance high concrete or high strength steel, then the prefab, rapid modular construction, 3D printing, and maybe even from the analytical point, like the recent developments in earthquake engineering, like a base isolation, and so many things. So you should be aware as a structural engineer of this particular development, and again, you have to demonstrate that you are very curious about all these new developments and how you are basically gets updated in this new development. So that's why the competence level is a 2. So you should have a knowledge about these new developments, right? So the next attribute is basically there is a attribute number 6, which is basically the managerial aspects in the design project, which again was split into the 5 sub attributes, like experience in a management. That management is basically of the projects which you are maybe doing in the design office. How, when the new project comes, how basically you are plan that particular delivery of the project, how you are programming and control the human resources, project resources, then maybe the finance, like the administrative support, license, interface management, interdisciplinary or inter-team license, and exchange of information with other disciplines like again MEP, HVAC, maybe a geotechnical and architects, and so on. The overcoming the obstacles that come in the way of the team while fulfilling the objectives and targets of the project and organization. The quality management system, what are the various requirements of this ISO 9001 or other relevant standard project quality plan, quality audits. See, all these things will make you the all-rounder structural engineer. This particular profession is not just a bending moment and shear force and doing some design of columns and beams. You should be knowing all these aspects of the profession. That is the idea of putting all these attributes in this accreditation program. Okay, so you can read it later. Then the appreciation of the legal aspects of the project, which we say that it is just appreciation. We need not know the detailed knowledge or having experience, but at least you should have appreciation like a statutory legislations, negligence, liability laws. What is a professional indemnity? What does it cover? What it doesn't cover? How does it work? The contract law. What is your basically the liability or what is your scope in that particular contract? That contract could be with the contractor, the contract could be with the government, and what are the various clauses? The health and safety legislations, insurance matters, adjudication processes, arbitration processes, role of expert witnesses, and so on. The candidate should demonstrate an appreciation of the law of this construction industry with respect to statutory legislation, health, safety legislations, insurance, contract law, and the contractual obligations effective within the construction industry. See, this is becoming more and more important in the present situation in our country. You may be realizing that the number of accidents is rising, whatever is the reason. And as a structural engineering say profession, where do you sit in that particular when something happens, some event takes place? How do you respond to that event from the legal perspective as a structural engineer? And this is becoming more and more important. So you, as a structural engineer, you must know what are your liabilities in this profession. So that's why it is one of the important attribute, though we have kept the competence level 1 at present. At least you should know what implications are there. Then the appreciation of the commercial issue, including the cost. And again, you have to demonstrate that in your portfolio. Then the appreciation of the commercial issues. Obviously, being an engineer, we are not a scientist. We are engineers. So the cost and economy is again it is our responsibility to realize that particular project in a minimum cost with all optimality, whether it is a material, whether it is a construction cost, or the cost of recurring cost during its operation of that particular project. So all these aspects you should know. And while doing that project in your office, what are other commercial implications? Whether the you know that the contractors are the contractors, they will keep on changing the things, their construction methods, and they ask you to redesign multiple times. So you should protect yourself with your contract, and you should raise always when there is a extra work, additional work as a variation in your order. So these things as a business, all structural engineers should know. Again, you must, if definitely you are doing it, and while applying or preparing this portfolio, you have to give this demonstration, or you have to produce the example where you are basically made this particular situation, and how you have tackled this situation, how you have benefited yourself by raising certain correspondence. So that correspondence and the results you can produce as evidence. Then this is the level 2, that is the knowledge of a different forms of the contract. Again, it could be if an infrastructure project, it could be a public-private partnership. Then the build BOT or hybrid annuity mode, or design and build concrete EPC, and so many. And again, most likely, most important is the FIDIC contract document, FIDIC. Then since it is a consultancy work, then what is this QCBS, that is the construction, and that is the quality or cost basis system, and knowledge of appropriate procurement issues like partnering, dispute resolution, etc. Again, these are the important attributes required to perform your duties in this profession. Then the knowledge of a health and safety requirements. Just a minute. So being the important requirement, we have made a separate attribute, which is again the need of this time. So again, you have to demonstrate how you are taking care or how you are took care of these points in your previous or completed project or ongoing project in your portfolio. Then the communication, all of you know, I will not go into details. Then the commitment towards the profession and objectives of the association. This is another important that you should know the standards of the profession of the structural engineering, the responsibilities as a structural engineers toward the society, environment, economics, and the objectives of this Indian Association of Structural Engineers. The candidates are encouraged to support the objectives of the association by involving themselves through the following points. You should be active as a member in various activities like say the crossfall or attending the webinars, seminars, project works, site visits, etc., etc. And regarding the profession or ethics, we have a very detailed document as a structural engineer. What are our ethical responsibilities? So you may visit association's website and you will find those points in our website. So you should aware about these points. So again, the expected level is a 2. That is you should know about all these points. Okay, so these are the various attributes. Briefly, I'll just brush through it. So while preparing this portfolio or filling this IPD forms, I think Abhijit has touched upon in his last webinar. You have to demonstrate that you personally have carried out all these activities and personally you have achieved the required level of these attributes. You can't say that my team has done or I'm responsible as a team member or it is a teamwork. No. In the form, you have to write what is your personal experience, and as a structural engineer, as an individual, how you are satisfying all these attributes or all these targets. That is a very important. It should be very specific, not a general stuff, and very clear and very to the point, right? So what we'll do, I will show you some examples of how these forms have been filled. So first example is a poor, second is average, and what I have done, I have asked few of engineers how to just start filling these forms. So those forms also I will try to project if the time is there. Now it is already 5:15, and then we'll discuss what is the strong points or weak points in those forms, and our panel members also can critique upon those forms. The idea is to give you a fair idea about this process and improve upon your presentation. You might have done many things, but not able to present in a proper form. Again, it is a matter of a communication, which is again a requirement of a level 4, right? So this filling of a form or presenting this portfolio also reflect how communicative you are, what is the clarity in your presentation or communication. So you have to be very careful while submitting these forms and a portfolio. So let's see one typical example. This is a candidate name, ASE-IAStructE membership. Then the key attribute, I have just taken few some of randomly. So he is writing about the analysis and design and the date of a reporting. And then what is the level achieved? He claimed that he has achieved a level 4. And what he's writing that I have gained the ability through experience of analysis and design on a various projects, not only to apprise the best solution in term of a structure, but to work with the design team to find the best integrated solution to meet needs of the particular project. This has been done through the analysis and design discussion with the design team on subjects such as the visual appearance, thermal mass, acoustics, buildability, air tightness, cost, and possibility of integration of a structures and a services scheme to provide both energy and cost saving. The conceptual design is a key element of every tender when the best value for the project is sought. See, here he is not to the point, right? So the observations or it is not a personal, he is not describing as a what he has done himself in that entire activity. Then he is not describing any specific project. So obviously, I don't think so he would be able to give any evidence or evidence document in the IPD. Talks about the attributes in general rather than how the candidate has satisfied the attributes. Will lead to extensive questioning during the interview. The mentor adds nothing. And the reviewer is just saying that he has agreed. Prefer to see the positive and informative statement being made by mentors. So this is the not a, again the right way of a IPD. I will show you the second, which is a slightly improved, but still not a. So this is the poor example. Then this is another IPD. What this candidate says that I have been responsible for production of a conceptual scheme of a numerous project, new builds, as well as refurbishments and extensions, in particular structural steel against reinforced concrete and masonry against timber frame structures. I have also prepared options for a safety constructing retaining walls by either a board piled retaining wall or a sequenced traditional reinforced concrete retaining wall. This project involves both the superstructure foundation options for tender and contractor pricing. Refer to the following within my portfolio work. Some projects he has mentioned. And the mentor is commenting, I confirm Mr. Engineer has undertaken the task detailed above to a standard of the ability. This can be confirmed within the portfolio of work. So again, here though he says his personal experience, some specific details of the activities are given by the candidate, but he should have given a specific details. What was done for each project. So just giving us some general statement will not be sufficient to understand really that candidate has achieved that particular target or not. So you have to give references to help your reviewer to find the evidences. The mentor is positive but lacks the detail and could be more. So what he writes, I confirm Mr. So-and-so has undertaken the task detail above the standard or detail above to standard of ability. This can be confirmed within the portfolio of work. Again, could be more personal and should have critique in more detail. That is the expectation. Then I will just show you some of the IPDs are filled by few engineers, And that again will I will just stop sharing. This was the last slide. Okay, now this was basically a portfolio requirement. Again, it is there in our booklet or website. It should contain the full portfolio guidance. That would that checklist etc. is given in our website. The IPD report should contain A4 size and shall not be more than say 400 pages or double-sided 200 pages. If you are attaching the drawings, they should not be greater than A3 size. The font size used in the IPD report and IPD forms should not be smaller than Arial 9. The IPD report should be subdivided into the key attributes with the evidence provided in each subsection relating to specifically to the associated key attributes. Candidates should avoid submitting the repetitive designs and drawings. If you fail to comply with above these requirements, the application may get rejected and your interview delayed or cancelled, or success rate at the interview may be reduced. So this was basically the content, and what I will do, I will just stop share here and I will try to project few IPDs some of engineers have shared with me. So let me 1 minute.
As you mentioned, probably they are also not up to the mark.
Right.
So you can show one of those.
Okay. So let me see. This was a better which I got. I will just see, for example, this person has tried to demonstrate that knowledge of a new developments, and he has put two arrows. Actually, I just asked him. He says that whatever the levels we are fulfilling, you have to put all. So that is not necessary. You have to just take the appropriate levels which you are feel that you are. So obviously, once you are claiming that you have fulfilled this level 2, you must have fulfilled the level 1 also. So that this level, this tick mark was not necessary in this particular form. Now what he writes, the use of a precast element expedite the construction speed, use of the new age material like USPC and use of a structural health monitoring system, etc. is gaining momentum in the project across India. Again, this is a general statement, it may not be required. I have been fortunate enough to have worked on the projects. This is okay. With that exposed me to such advanced technologies being adopted in the construction industry. My exposure to these technologies have been summarized below across 3 projects where I was involved in the capacity of a lead structural design. The Metro Line ZZ precast construction, 12-kilometer viaduct including 10 stations. All the stations were designed to have a maximum precast elements. Reasons for adopting the precast construction: complicated site features, heavy traffic areas, better construction quality. But again, some general statements. Advantage of a parallel activity. Challenges faced: new and unique concept developed for adopting the precast technology, optimizing the size of the elements to reduce the weight. Developing the best and optimum launching sequence considering the site constraint and design limitations. Modification in the design to suit issue faced at a certain site by keeping the overall scheme within the original concept. Then the second project is some Temple Chowk flyover use of a USPC. USPCR, that is ultra high performance reinforced concrete. Fiber reinforced concrete material was adopted for the execution of the complex highway crossing. VUP got exposed to design concept of UHFRC being in the position of a proof checker for the design of this special structure, got exposure to these design codes of a US FRC, especially French and Swiss codes. The new bridge Jammu structural health monitoring system. The bridge has developed some cracks and there was a large deflection mid-span before opening the bridge. Traffic was part of the team. Again, this may not be a right. Okay, let's see. To develop the instrumentation for monitoring the stress and deflection of the bridge. Got exposed to use different gauges instrument for collecting the live data from the structure. Got exposed to extracting the results and preparing the presentable report in a submission of a client. Okay, so what I will do, I will ask the panelists to comment on this particular portfolio and or critique this portfolio, whether how it is expected to a level 2, that is the knowledge, and then we'll go to the next portfolio. So who will be Abhijit? What is your opinion on this particular IPD form?
Okay, good. Thanks for letting me in. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
very good.
good. So just one step before this is when you are submitting the IPD forms, the data that has been put into this form needs to be aligned with the level of level of expertise that or competence that you are expected to. Now, what sometimes happens, and I've seen this in the past in ASE-IAStructE as well, that people tend to put in a lot of data for a very small attribute or very attribute which requires minimalistic sort of competence level, and they tend to forget that they need to do a sizable information, or they need to provide a sizable information for an attribute which has competence level 4. So what I seen on this particular thing is it's too much of an information for a competence level 2. That's number one. Number two, I found that this is not personal, because what is expected out of this IPD forms is candidates' individual's contribution to the project or to that particular topic. We have done, I have done, it must be I have done. I have been involved. It's me, not we. It's slightly different because sometimes, we all work as one team, and that's how we have been conditioned in communication. But when it comes to chartership program or accreditation program, it's one individual. That individual should be able to demonstrate that what he or she has done. Now here in this particular form, there's a lot of information being provided which is so generic, right? 12-kilometer viaduct including 10 stations. Fine. What is that person done? What that particular candidate has done into that? So if it is 10 kilometer, I have designed one of the stations. Fantastic. Now, reasons for adopting precast, he has mentioned this, but whether he was involved into that, or he or she was involved into that, or whether this is a collective decision. Normally, these sort of things are not individual. So then one should write that contributed to discussions. I have contributed to the discussions where we discussed, or where the discussion happened on precast, and my contribution was X, Y, Z. So all these attribute form, all the forms that we are, IPD forms that we are looking for, is a person who is applying for this should demonstrate he or she has or has done this work in the past in individual capacity. And that's why it's so critical that whatever you write, and it has to be crisp, because if you see the number of pages that we have, 200 pages on both sides. So what we don't want is thick files of information. We might have people on call here who are maybe 40 years, 50 years into their career, and there are loads and loads of information. We don't want all that. What we want is a crisp information saying that yes, this is what I've done, and this particular work that I've done contributes to this particular level of that particular key attribute. And remember, based on the information that you provide, the interview will be interview will be, will be hovering around that information. Now, if the information is not good, or the information is not accurate or specific, then the interview becomes tricky, right? Then the interviewer can ask you so many other questions, which perhaps you may not know, and then the passing rate will drop down. So that's why crispiness is critical. That's it for me,
Right.
Umesh.
So what we'll do now, Professor?
Yeah.
See, this is the important activity. And whatever the forms I could able to collect, then again, I will try to improve those forms to make it the accept at the some acceptable level. And maybe again, after some time, maybe 15 days or so, we'll again discuss with the reference to those particular forms. What is the acceptable level of these forms? Will it be okay? Before going toward further to the interview process, because this is a very critical activity.
Yeah, I agree. It is the crux of the whole thing. Before we start the process of interview and so on. Any thoughts on this from our panelists?
No, I think this is just an orientation program, so basically just we are trying to expose the participant with different processes and stages actually. So I think after that we'll have some detailed training session or something. So I think there we can have in-depth discussion on IPD forms and all of the aspects. I think instead of
So
just
that
having
can-
another session on this IPD,
Fine.
at present may not be required actually, I think.
Yeah. What you're suggesting is we go through the orientation program.
Yeah.
Two more issues are to be addressed.
Yes.
And then we come back to the.
Then we come back to the other, this one also, as well others also in more depth actually in that after that.
Okay.
Meanwhile, what I will suggest to the participant, they should also start attempting filling these forms for themselves. Okay, and if you even they can submit to us, and then we can just go through that and give our suggestions.
Yes, and
We have something like basically a guidance.
yeah, so this is very important thing, but I think this is not very difficult because just keep in mind you are giving this information so that interview board can understand it and your contribution and your competence level in each key attribute stand out, comes clearly from this. So crispiness, and so this, I don't think it's a very difficult thing, but just think from that point of view. What you are writing, why you are writing, and there's no confusion, whatever yours, and what your interview will be based on that only actually, basically. So but we will have more session on that later on, no problem.
Yeah, very true. Actually, it is in the interest of the person who is writing the IPD form. If he wants the interview to be focused on what he knows and what he has done.
Yes.
So if it is clearly brought out in the IPD form, then the interviewers will be focusing on that rather than, as Mr. Kulkarni said, talking about various other things.
Questions will be related to whatever you have written in your IPD form actually. Your interview questions will be from that only.
Right. Mr. Baumek, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think basically I entirely agree with what Manoj has told, that first let us go through the orientation program totally. And maybe after that, we can have one open session where we don't speak, we let the participants sort of ask questions on all the, 4 orientation program that we have. And probably it will be interactive. And there we can clarify more, and also in the process we also understand what difficulties are and in a way give more clarification on it. Actually, let us be clear that we are also evolving. I mean, this is something new even for ASE-IAStructE. So what we are also parallelly developing the entire process ourselves, and not that everything. Maybe down the line, after 1 or 2 years, we will have more clarity. We will produce more documents which will assist the candidates with more clarity. But I think we are in the evolving stage. And as Mr. Raj Shirke mentioned, that even if you feel that out of these 12 attributes you are not able to score in 5 or 4 attributes, and you need to upgrade yourself, you have to develop your skill, so at least that where you need to put your focus, and I think that purpose it serves.
Right. Dr. Pradeep, any quick thoughts?
Yeah, like I also have the same thoughts. Like this orientation program is like a sensitization thing, and based on this, my suggestion is it is better the potential candidates start attempting to fill the forms, and also they can share with the ASE-IAStructE so that we know that where is the real difficulty. And during the training session, these things will become like question answers will be ready with us, so that
Great.
it is easy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. There are a few questions. We'll take them up.
And Professor, before that,
Yes.
what I will appeal this participant that you start at least applying for this particular program. Okay.
Yes,
so
of course.
we'll be also know what kind of obstacles we are facing in that system itself of application processing, how to administrate this particular scheme. So I request the interested participants to apply for this particular scheme.
Another thing, when they will start applying, then probably we will able to answer their question. There will be more personalized answers actually when we'll have more discussion. So that will be better actually.
Yeah.
And also those who apply first, they'll become like guide for many other people, forerunners.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's very true. Unless the applications come or start coming, and as Mr. Bhamik said, we are evolving. So I think when the applications come, we will also know how to improve our whole process.
Right.
Yeah.
And one more attraction, whoever is the first accredited structural engineer of ASE-IAStructE will be always remembered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, they will be setting the benchmark, initial benchmark.
That's right.
That is another attraction.
Okay, let's look at these questions quickly.
Yeah.
I know we are a bit late, but just spend a few minutes on those.
So,
Mr. Pranesh Murnal is a professor, retired professor, and what he's saying is that he's been doing some work on structural engineering, design and proof checking and so on. And is he eligible? I have a very simple answer to give him. I am like him. And I feel that unless I am into the field of practice, there are many facets which I am not exposed to. And although nobody is debarred from applying, everybody can apply, sure, whether from academics or from practice. But I will feel personally that, there are many issues to which you don't get exposed if you are not into the business of practicing structural engineering. So that's my answer to Professor.
So he can apply, but he may need to prepare actually.
Yeah, as I said, surely
for certain aspects.
We are all eligible. Structural engineers are eligible to apply.
Yeah.
So there's not an issue. But there will be that. I have a feeling that will be that handicap will be there. In certain key attributes there may be a handicap. Yeah. Vikram Rajput, will the accreditation be valid in state government bodies also? I thought it's not so much of a question of validity, it's a question of being recognized. It's more important that the accreditation is recognized as a benchmark process. Not so much of a question of validity, but Mithil Saab, would you like to?
So I think his question is that whether this certification will be valid in the state bodies or something, whether they will accept it or not. So see, this is a voluntary kind of activity, and as such, we do not have any government backing or support. But so from that point of view, we do not know whether who will accept it or who will not. But we do know that we will communicate with the government and state bodies and everybody. We will communicate, and once they know what is the process and what the system procedure we are following, and I am hopeful, and we are hopeful that this will be accepted by all major government bodies also, and maybe we may get some government recognition also after some time.
Yeah, because it's badly missing in our system, Indian
Yes.
system. So once we are fulfilling that particular gap or vacuum,
Yes.
I'm very sure and confident that government will respond to this particular.
Rather, in a way, we are doing the job which the government should have done actually.
Yeah. In fact, this will help government also, state governments also. If one state government recognizes it, and definitely many states will start recognizing it.
Yes.
Right.
If I may add just one point, Professor, I mean,
Yeah.
in addition to what you mentioned and others mentioned about, the advantage of being recognized, I would say that I repeat, because last time also I think we mentioned that you see, we as a structural engineer, we are responsible for the safety of the built habitat. And if you have seen so many number of failures which is happening and which is denting our image very badly. And primary, one of the main reason is that we have a problem of competence compared to the large scale infrastructure development which is taking place. So I think we are in a profession where there is huge amount of risk that we take. Therefore, we need to sort of improve our competence level so that we do our work with a position of knowledge and strength and understanding. We don't really like to take leap in the dark that we have been doing by doing some work in which we do not have a competence, we do not have experience. But many a times we find that in our profession, because the huge amount of infrastructure projects are coming up, so many people are doing work which they have not done before, and that is becoming a safety hazard. So therefore, this accreditation will help you to understand what is your role in the society. And I mean, the recognition is one part, but you are then practicing this profession, knowing fully well your risk and your responsibilities.
Yeah, very well said, Mr. Bhaumik. I think it's a very important point that you make. Mr. Rajput has another question. Will there be a program or a course for getting an accreditation? I think you have been listening to the discussions we have had as to how we are going to evolve the support process for this accreditation. And there is no course or program planned as such at this point, but we are evolving again. And the idea is definitely to help the prospective candidates to be able to apply in the appropriate manner. So that certainly we are trying to evolve. Mr. Pranesh Murnal, Professor Murnal wants to know whether mentor is chosen by the association or the candidate. Mr. Murnal is by the candidate. The mentor is chosen by the candidate. Then Mr. Rajput again has Will all the requirement details be shared in PDF format through mail or a link to the drive? I think all the details are on the website.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they are on the website already in a booklet. Mr. Anil Sharma, for holistic, meaningful evaluation and for the purpose of accreditation for each of the attributes, interviewers should be required to do gradation on a scale 1 to 10 or 1 to 5.
Oh, that is for interview process, I think.
Yeah, I think
That process will be evolved. That is.
I think let the interviewers evolve a process.
Yeah.
Then Mr. Ashutosh Kutumbale, sir, it is not a question but a suggestion. I suggest you should conduct these sessions on some professional streaming platform rather than Zoom. You can try to conduct them on StreamYard for a more immersive webinar. I can guide the technical team at ASE-IAStructE if required.
Okay, so we will contact Ashutosh regarding this.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for your suggestion. There's one from Mr. Shanmugam. Whether I need to send a separate 12 IPD report form or I can combine all 12 IPD in one form. So you require 12 IPD report forms. Am I right?
Yeah.
12 separate with a supporting documentation for each of that.
So if I send application and IPD by this month end, whether I will come by this June cycle. Well, actually, there is a July cycle and a January cycle.
Yeah.
So you will enter the July cycle. Yeah. Whether I need to be a member to apply for this scheme? If yes, well,
No.
you don't need to be a member.
Yeah. So for applying, you need not to be a member, but you will get this certification only if when you will become the member. So at present, you can apply even if you are not a member.
Mr. Manohar Pakade, sir, one may not be exposed to all 12 attributes in career or practice. Then how to fill IPD, please guide. I think this has been explained because you don't need to be exposed to all the attributes to the same level. But you do need to have some exposure to all the attributes.
Yeah, so but if you do not have exposure to some of the attributes, then I think you need to wait and have exposure, and then only you can fill the IPD and apply it.
Absolutely.
Mr. Anil Sharma has another question. Accreditation of structural engineers is related to public and structural safety. If enforced as per the spirit, it will spread initially slow, but will catch up like wildfire, not only amongst private consultants and architects, but also with all central as well as state governments. That is, we share your
Yes.
We
share
also
your
think
thoughts.
the same way. Yes.
Yes, we are also very hopeful that what you are saying is right. Mr. Shanmugam, because already I started filling the form before sending, I want to attend the webinar. Now I got full idea. I want to be part of this June cycle.
Same July.
That means this session is very
July
useful.
cycle. So yes, please do the needful. Right, Mr. Shanmugam again. Now I need to send only 12 IPD forms. Yes, that's right. No need of supporting documents at this stage.
No, I think supporting document will be required.
They're required. They are required at this stage.
In case any additional thing is required at the time of interview, they can present it.
No, I think, see, we have said there will be a one step when they will apply, and we will see whether they should continue with the application or not, I think.
So for that, the supporting documents are not required. You are right.
For that purpose, supporting documents are not required.
For applying, it is not required, but for registration of the scheme or program,
Yes.
that time you have to submit all the entire portfolio,
Yes.
not initially.
Because these
I can
documents
say
are part of the
pre-registration and
portfolio.
registration.
Yeah, these documents are part of the portfolio. So at present, for applying, they may not be required.
I think maybe we can call it as
I hope
pre-registration
that
and
answers
registration.
your question, Mr. Shanmugam. Well, those were all the questions. And in fact, I'm very happy that there are very pointed questions, which are helping us to understand what you are thinking and what your problems are. So thank you for asking those questions. And
Another, I think, suggestion I want to make is that those who are attending this webinar and those who are thinking of applying, they should also circulate the message regarding this program in their company, in their organization, to other colleagues also. They may also be interested in this program.
oh, yeah, sure. That's a very fine suggestion. And we hope to see the participants again in the next 2 cycles of our next 2 sessions of this orientation program. And we hope to see more participants. You can bring your colleagues along also, as has been suggested
I
by
think
me.
there is one more question. I think that is, can we select mentors as per mention in the website? Find a structural engineer. Okay, so we have a list of member of ASE-IAStructE on the website. So yes, you can choose from that also, but I think it will be better you select the fellow members only, because they will be the more experienced engineers.
There's a question: if we have any query, to whom we should contact? Please write to the
ASE-IAStructE secretariat, you send the mail,
secretariat.
and then
it will find its way to the
Yes.
right people. Okay, if there are no other questions, as I think we have answered or tried to answer all the questions that we had. And if there are no other comments, shall we close the session?
Yeah, I think it was a very good
Yes.
session, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Very good session.
yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Umesh Rashirke and our panelists.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, a big thank you to the participants. And, I'm very happy, as I said, that they asked all those questions and clarifications. It seems we are moving in the right direction, that means.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Okay,
And
bye-bye.
see you soon.